Hello, BookTube. Very odd morning here weather-wise in Boston. It rained all night long, but the day doesn't seem to know whether to be cloudy or sunny. It's scudding low, thick clouds with all sorts of predictions in the future, in the immediate future and in the prolonged future. All sorts. Most of the rest of the country is gearing up for or getting socked with a major weather system that just seems, once again, as it has for the whole winter, once again, it just seems to be missing Boston. Just missing it completely. Which I am still, it's been a while, it's been years, but even so, I am still remembering not too many winters ago when all of these major weather systems were progressing to become major haymaker blizzards and hitting Boston. And sometimes missing on both sides so closely that New Hampshire wasn't getting snow and we were getting blizzards. 5 feet of snow at a storm. That wasn't too long ago that we had a winter like that. I remember it. I remember the sidewalks gradually disappeared. The open spaces gradually disappeared. Everything became roads. And the sidewalks had narrow pathways that people had hacked out of them. In some places so high that you couldn't see over them. Imagine what it was like to walk 2 dogs in that kind of environment. Well, the whole world disappeared. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. Especially since one of my dogs at the time, Malin, my pointer, was savagely unfriendly to all other dogs. She would immediately start barking and bouncing up and down and whatnot. And if you've got a narrow pathway like this, and you commit to it, there aren't any openings on either side. So if somebody's coming that way, then you are stuck. You can't go by each other unless your dogs are super friendly. You can't go by each other. So that presented a problem because Malin was never super friendly to other dogs. She was always very unfriendly to other dogs. Very friendly to humans, but unfriendly to other dogs. And it also presented a problem because my basset hound, Lucy, couldn't turn around. She couldn't be lifted up, and she couldn't turn around on her own. So it was a nightmare. So I'm okay with Boston being an exception in these weather circumstances. But we got some mail today, a little bit damp. Was sitting on the front porch. And it's just 4 packages. So let's see. I have a feeling these are all going to be finished copies as we gear up. But I could be wrong. My predictions are often wrong when it comes to my own mail. Let's see here. Oh, okay, I'm wrong. Yes, this is an advance copy. This is oh no, you're kidding me. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, this comes out in May. This is yet another Dante book. This is Guy Raffa. This is Dantes Bones, How a Poet Invented Italy. Oh my. Oh, very nice. Oh, it's a blurb from Matthew Pearl. A lot of you will know him as the author of the Dante Club, a wonderful historical murder mystery set, all just a complete homage to Dante. Matthew Pearl is such a nice guy and such a good author. Let's see here. Dante, whose Divine Comedy gave the world its most vividly imagined spiritual afterlife, has endured an extraordinary physical life beyond the grave. The year 2021 will mark the 700th anniversary of his death. Exiled in death as in life, Dante has hardly rested in peace over the centuries. Like a saint's relics, his bones have been stolen, recovered, reburied, exhumed, examined, and above all, worshipped. Actors in this graveyard history range from Lorenzo de' Medici, Michelangelo, and Pope Leo X, to the Franciscan friar who hid the bones, the stonemason who accidentally discovered them, and the opportunistic sculptor who accomplished what Florentine princes, popes, and politicians could not: allow Dante's native city of Florence to repatriate the precious relic of the poet it had banished. This is actually about Dante's bones. Oh my! In this book narrates for the first time the complete course of the poet's physical afterlife, from his death and burial in 1321 to a computer-generated reconstruction of his face in 2006. Do we have that? This is an advanced copy. It might not have artwork. Wouldn't it be great? Oh, what is this? No, okay, that's the funerary mask, and the funerary mask is well known. It's this aquiline thing there. That is well known. That is what most... there is the computer reconstruction. Oh my. Oh my. Oh, goodness gracious. I believe I bought Provolone from him in Orvieto a long time ago. Who knew it was Dante? Oh my. All right, well, great. So who is this author? Guy Raffa is an associate professor of Italian studies at the University of Texas at Austin. Boy, the University of Texas at Austin crops up in my mentions a lot this year. His previous books include The Complete Dante Worlds, A Reader's Guide to the Divine Comedy, and Divine Dialectic, Dante's Incarnational Poetry. His work has been supported by the National Endowment for the Humanities and highlighted in the New Yorker and the Los Angeles Times. Wow, he's a Dante expert. Okay, great. Fantastic. So this comes out in May, and this is another Dante book. Wonderful. Let's see what this next one. Ooh, it's pleasingly heavy. What could this be? It's pleasingly heavy. It's a finished copy. Oh my. Okay. All right. Okay, it was about time. This is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. I have not read... I read the advanced copy of this, but I won't say that I've read it because I haven't studied it, and it's one of those things where I'm not going to feel comfortable with it. I think I can recommend it, but I want to know this book really well. Boy, what a book, though. What an amazing thing. This is Child of Light. It's a biography of Robert Stone by Madison Smart Bell. Robert Stone is he's enjoying briefly a moment in the highlight here because he has not only a collection of his collected nonfiction, but also the Library of America collecting 3 of his novels. No reprint of his collection of short stories, and the 3 novels in the Library of America will not be everybody's favorite Robert Stone books, but still, the timing, which those of you who are in publishing will know can be a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. The timing is amazing here to get these 3 things to market in the same time of the same season. It could cause at least a small reconsideration of Stone. Critical, maybe even a popular reconsideration of him. It's been my experience, I mentioned this in connection with the Library of America volume, that popular reconsiderations don't happen unless there are popular editions. Ordinary book readers, even bookish book readers, don't tend to wander into their Barnes & Noble, spot a $40 Library of America volume and buy it. But you give them a $15 paperback, a well-designed $15 paperback of Dog Soldiers or Damascus Gate, and they might. And that might do it. The key to popular reconsideration in the 21st century is book clubs. You even if you're taught academically, your key to immortality will be: are you being read by people? Are you being mentioned in book clubs? Are you in a Goodreads book group, for instance? It'd be nice in a way, I think, to see that happen with Robert Stone. I think I would like that. I think it would be very interesting to see what people make of him. He is in many ways the last of the stereotypical leather elbow patched Hemingway-esque life adventures. I almost want to use the jargon of the era, even though I always make fun of it. Entitled white male. He was one of the last of those writers that I think a certain generation of reader could unquestionably call great. Certainly an unbelievable command of the English language. And it's going to be fascinating to see. And of all of these things that are coming out, the most fascinating is this: an authorized biography of a major 20th century American author written by another major 20th century author. Madison Smart Bell is fantastic. I would argue at least as talented a writer as Robert Stone. And I've been racking my brains trying to think of another example of that in the 20th century. And I'm having a hard time doing it. I'm having a hard time coming up with a thing where, a case where a really good writer in the same genre just decided to write a life of another person in that genre. Imagine it. I've actually put this question. This question has come up a couple of times. We saw the advanced copy of this book, and I raised the question then, and a lot of you have been. Of course, I leave my email with every video. You are more than welcome to email me about anything at any time. I might not get back to you right away, but I will try to get back to you unfailingly. And it's great for just dilating on questions. That's just fantastic. And I put the question to you: when is another example where that is true? And there have been precious few responses, not in the 20th century, precious few responses. You think Carl Sandburg wrote a biography of Abraham Lincoln. Imagine what it would be like if Sandburg had written a biography of Robert Frost. Something like that is what I'm not seeing. I'm racking my brains. I think you have to go back to the 19th century to see it. And even then, in this case, I would say that the talent level, the brilliance level is about the same, and very high. So even then, I'm not talking about a third string novelist writing about a first string novelist, which, oh, I hate to say this, it pretty much rules out. Some of you were suggesting Louis Auchincloss, and it pretty much rules him out. I think we can agree, can't we, that Auchincloss is not, well, I don't know that he's not an A-list writer, and that if he writes about an A-list writer, it doesn't count, but much less somebody that he knew. Now, one of you made the suggestion of Auchincloss's wonderful little book on Edith Wharton, but although they came from the same world, they didn't know each other, and there's no comparison of talent level, I don't think. But then again, maybe a lot of Robert Stone fans would say there is no comparison of talent level here. I find that hard to believe. I've read everything that either of these people has written, and I'm not, as you know, from watching this channel, I'm not a huge fan of the made-up stories just in general, so I can look at them from sort of, near orbit and not be caught up in the cult of personality of either person. And I don't see it. I think they are a very similar talent level, very similar stellar talent level. But one way or another, this is fascinating. Well, I already have, I've mentioned on this channel before, I have a sweet tooth for authorized lives. I'm pretty sure this is an authorized live, but it won't be anything like what the stereotypical picture of an authorized life is. The thing is, most of them aren't. Most authorized lives aren't like we get. They come with a bad rap. People think, well, the estate or even the subject is peering over your shoulder and cares about how every dimple and comes out in the bad light. And most people, once they've reached a certain point in their life, don't care about that at all. Not at all. They and their lawyers and their estate don't obviously want a naked hatchet job. But once they're convinced of your probity as a writer, most subjects or estates will just say, go right ahead. Go right ahead and let the chips fall where they may. This person belongs to history now. One way or another, I'm not 100% sure that I am sufficiently interested in the life of Robert Stone. That was one of the problems I had when I was reading this, in the advanced copy. I'm not sure that I'm as interested in him as I need to be in order to give this its due. We will see. You'd think I would be. I mean, Benjamin Moser's book on Susan Sontag I thought was incredible. Even though I could tell at every stage that the author had decided I must not be disinterested. I must have opinions on all of these things, and I must judge my sources. How credible are you? How juicy is this? How damaging is this? In other words, I knew that the author had an aesthetic view, a set of personal judgments involved in the book. I still loved it. Oddly enough, the feeling that I had coming out of the advanced copy of this, and I'm going to treat this as a new reading. The feeling that I had, oddly enough, I don't know where it comes from, and I'm not sure how accurate it is that in order to get a better handle on this book, I needed to read more of the novels of Madison Smart Bell and not Robert Stone. I think that's the exact opposite of the effect that's going for here, but nevertheless, there you go. So I don't have a sheet on this, but this comes out in March. I'm sure it does, that it comes out in March. So great to have a finished copy. Then we have a couple of cardboard things. I am rambling here, but we're within sight of being done, don't you worry. So what is this next one? Oh my. Okay. True Crime. Comes out in late May from Flatiron Books. This is by Alan Feuer, and it is El Jefe, the stalking of Chapo Guzman. There are those beady killer eyes. Before he's captured by U.S. and Mexican authorities in 2016, Joaquin Archivaldo Guzman Loera, known to most simply as El Chapo, was leader of the world's biggest narcotics cartel, a multinational criminal enterprise that employed thousands with an estimated net worth of $14 billion at the time of his extradition, of his extrication. His extrication, I love it. I don't want to be extricated, I guess, now that I hear that. A man of short stature but larger-than-life persona, Guzman's breathless rise to power began on his family's farmstead in La Tuna, a small cattle town in Sinaloa, Mexico, where he quit school in the third grade to help his father grow poppies that were sold for opium. In 1978, at the age of 16, El Chapo made his first run as a smuggler, driving an old Ford pickup packed with pot across the American border, and the rest is history. So this is a study of El Chapo. Interesting. So who is the author? He covers courts and criminal justice for the Metro desk at the New York Times. And he's written about mobsters, jails, police misconduct, wrongful convictions, and government corruptions. And he lives in New York City. Okay, so he has the while he's been reporting on all this stuff, he's had the full backing of a great news organization. So who knows? Probably a well-informed book. And then we'll do this last one, and we'll be done. What is this last one? What on earth is this? Oh, it's from Tor. It's from the people at Tor. Oh my, Tor. Those of you who might not be up to speed, is a great, big, fantastic publisher of science fiction and fantasy. Really the best in the world. And this is a book of theirs. Comes out in late March. This is The Poet King by Ilana Meyer. Look at that. Look at that cover. There's a magic mini Christmas tree. Big statues, some harps. It's a static scene, but it's got, I love the light beams and all. It's, let's see here. Prophecies unfold, legends turn real, and a war of mythic proportions endangers the realm in Ilana Meyer's final installment in the Harp and the Ring sequence. Oh no, how many are there? And the, oh good lord, I looked on the back for how many there are, and I see all the blurbs. Ken Liu, The Washington Post, Scott Hawkins, Kirkus as a starred review. Great, fantastic. But how many more are there here? Also a blurb from Seth Dickinson, the author of The Traitor Baru Cormorant. Last Song Before Night. I loved Last Song Before Night. Oh, great. Fire Dance and The Poet King. So Fire Dance, I don't think I read. I'm getting the third one. Oh, no. The first book in the series I really enjoyed. After surprising upheaval, the nation of Tamrilan has a new ruler, Elisan Diar, who proclaims himself the first Poet King. Amid suspicion and discontent with this regime change, Rihanna secretly schemes against him as she investigates the mysterious weapon he has hidden deep in the bowels of the palace. I wonder if that's it. Those aren't in the bowels, though. There's sunlight. Meanwhile, a civil war rages in a distant land. Former court poet Lynn Amaristhoth gathers allies old and new to return to Tamrilan in time to stop the coronation, for the Poet King's ascension is connected with a sinister prophecy that threatens to unleash a battle out of legend, unless Lynn and her friends can stop it. Okay, I clearly need the middle book here. I clearly need the middle book in order. Sounds like this is the. The tagline is confronting oppression through the power of art. How amazing! How amazing! So this is the final book. So this was a trilogy, and this is the last volume. I definitely have to try and get the second volume. So who is the author? Ilana Meyer was a freelance journalist based in Jerusalem and cultural critic for various publications. As Elena Teitelbaum, she has written book reviews and critical essays for the Globe and Mail, the Los Angeles Review of Books, Salon, and the Huffington Post. Her series, The Harp and Ring sequence, includes The Last Song Before Night, Fire Dance, and The Poet King. A native New Yorker and longtime Jerusalem resident, she now resides in the mountains of Pennsylvania. Wow. Okay. Great. All right. Well, fantastic. So a good old-fashioned, sounds like a good old-fashioned epic fantasy trilogy, only with an emphasis on art. They all have poems and sagas and whatnot embedded in their world, but it sounds like the fate of the kingdom is going to turn on art here, and that's kind of fascinating in its own right. Okay. Well, no wonder there are harps then, right? I was wondering about that. Why are there harps? But if artwork and poetry and song are so essential, maybe there would be in this what looks like a royal vault. Okay, so we're all over the map again. We're all over the map again, but only one piece of fiction, and it's one that I want to jump into right away, and that's The Poet King. Then we have El Jefe, which is about this guy's rise to power and his career in trafficking, and also the hunt for him and the successful capture of him. So not a soup to nuts biography, but probably the only thing we'd want from him. What more could you do? This probably will count as a biography. And then a definite soup to nuts biography, and this is Child of Light by Madison Smart Bell. Great big new biography of Robert Stone. And then Dantes Bones, which is also not exactly a biography. It's more post-mortuary. It's a biography, a travel log of where all of his disinterred bones went over all the centuries. I imagine I'll have a lot of biography of Dante in it. We'll see. There's a charming way to do that, and there's a didactic way. We'll see which one this author does. But there you go. pretty fascinating mail haul. So I'm going to dig into these things and see about the middle book in this trilogy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to see about that. Fire Dance is the one that I don't think I have, so I'll have to see about that. But anyway, there could be more mail today. The sun and the clouds are chasing each other across the sky, but I don't think any rain is in the forecast for quite some time. So if there's more mail, if I get a big delivery, I will try to film it. I will try to make a nice presentable video. And if so, I'll see you then. Thank you, BookTube.